Yo guys, what's up? It's OGXRAYZ and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the Nintendo Switch 2, but what happens after the hype dies down? What happens when it becomes a console that you use every single day? Well, I've spent the last 60 days with my Switch 2. So was it worth it after a nearly 8-year wait since the release of the first Switch? Well, I wanted to cut right through all the chatter and give you guys my brutally honest take on whether you should spend your hard-earned money on this thing. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The real question for me and for a lot of you guys is, does the Switch 2 actually feel like a real generational leap? Or is it just a Switch Pro, a more powerful version of what we already had? And the answer, honestly, is kind of both. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the hardware, the good, the bad, the surprising. So I've mentioned this before, and 2 months later, I still feel the exact same way. But when you hold the Switch 2, it just feels premium, and it still does feel that way. It's a clear step up, but the real game changer for me is the new Joy-Cons, the old rail system. The longer that I use the magnetic system versus what the rail system was before, the more I realize how terrible the rail system was. The rail system was fun and quirky, and it worked for what it was supposed to be. But the magnets are just so much easier and nicer and less annoying. All right, so the other thing that we've been talking about has been game chat. I mentioned that I used it a lot when I initially played the Switch 2. Well, moving forward now to 2 months later, I barely use game chat at all. I've actually been mostly playing single player games. I just haven't been using game chat as much as I thought I initially was going to do. All right, so let's talk about the screen because I have been using the Switch 2 in handheld mode, albeit not as much as I thought I was. I've been mostly using it docked, but when I do use it in handheld mode, I really do appreciate the screen for what it is. I know there's been some controversy over how good the Switch 2 screen is in terms of ghosting and 2D scrollers. I have been mostly playing games like Mario Kart World and Pokemon on here, as well as Donkey Kong Bonanza. So a lot of the games that I've played have not been side-scrolling games. I'm gonna definitely have to try that out here in the future so I can really get an idea of if it's really as bad as people say it is. But personally, I've been really enjoying the screen that is on the Switch 2. When I did compare the OLED to the new Switch 2 screen, they felt pretty similar in terms of the colors and brightness, and it might just be because of the HDR that is available on the Switch 2 handheld mode that it makes it look that much nicer. But overall, honestly, it's not really that big of a step down from my OLED Switch, which I think is pretty impressive.